Welcome back. Now, Trello gives you the ability to label all of your cards according to a legend that you put together. So, in order to look at that legend, what we're going to do is we're going to click inside of one of the cards, and then we're going to click Labels. And what you're going to notice is that you have colors which represent different labels that you designate. So what we're going to do is we're going to designate each of these colors as a different label, which again helps us to organize our content visually. For example, we can click this pencil and we can name this label according to a different level of categorization. Once we've named the particular color, we'll then click Save. We can then name all of our colors in a different way. We can create new labels once we've completed the ones that we have. Once we have all the labels that we are going to use, we can then begin to use the labels on a particular card. And just so that you'll know, these labels are going to be available throughout all of our boards. So we're going to be able to use these labels on any card inside of any list inside of this board that we're in right now. If we were to go and search another board available to us, we would find that these labels would not be available. So what we're going to do is we're going to check the labels that are going to be associated with this particular card. And we can do that by clicking on the label. And then we can click inside of the box. And whenever we actually make changes, our changes are automatically saved unless we do something with them otherwise. So once we X out of this particular card, or in other words, turn it around, we should see our labels available. And you'll notice then that the labels are color coded on top of the card, on top of our content. So you'll see now we've added an additional layer of organization inside of our list by giving our cards a label. Now going back to the inside of the card, it may be that we don't have a team yet that we want to associate with this particular list. However, we may want to write in some comments about our thought process or about some other extenuating factor that led us to create this card. We can place all the information that we think is relevant inside of this comment area. Now, there are several aspects to commenting on this card that we'll want to take note of. First is that we can actually be subscribed to updates, and this will be of particular interest to us when we are working with someone and they have the ability to comment on the card and about what we are talking about in this particular area. We also have the ability to attach something to the card. Now we can bring in attachments from our computer, we can bring in other attachments from Trello, we can bring in links from Google Drive, Dropbox, Box, and OneDrive. Or we can paste in a link from any site on the web. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to place in here a link from another site on the web. And then we can give that link a name and make it clickable. Once you have that written in, you'll click Attach. Now inside of the comment area, if we are connected to another member, we have the ability to tag that member in our comment. We can do that in this link. We can add in an emoji if we want to, or we can add in another card. So really, the card is a holding place for any information on a particular topic that we want to be relevant or we want to have read when somebody's actually looking at this particular unit of information that we have created. So once we have everything that we want there, we're then going to click Save. Now once that comment is then written, we can then have another person, or we can write in another comment in the comment area and continue to add to this particular card in terms of comments. And lastly, we can add in another card to a particular comment. We can add in cards from this particular list and board, or we can add in an entire board. So what we're going to do right now is we're just going to add in this card and say that it's closely related. We're going to X out of there, and then we're going to click Save. We have our second comment. So once we have everything we want inside of the card, we're then going to click this X. And that's actually going to give us multiple icons on the front of the card. For example, we can note that we are watching this card. We're going to get notifications. We can look at a due date. We can note that it has a description. We can note that it has comments, and we can note that it has at least one attachment. So again, cards are the basic building block of the organization point, and you can add to the card extensively once you click into it or turn it to the other side. Okay, so with that, thanks, and I will see you in another video.